know about Rupa Goswami. Okay, great. Okay, so we were going to embark on the study of this fascinating book called The Nectar of Devotion. It is a summary study of Rupa Goswami's work called Bhakti-rasamrita-sindhu. So before we jump into a book or any book, it's always nice to know about who the author is. And once you get to appreciate the author, then appreciating their work is more fruitful. So there is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which actually is considered to be a predictive verse about the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the verse is in the 11th canto, 3rd chapter, or 5th chapter. It goes, Krishna Varnam. You heard this verse? Some people must have heard. Okay. It's called Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagnair Sankirtanai Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasa. So word to word is, Krishna Varnam. The word Varnam in Sanskrit has many meanings. One meaning, Varnam, means to describe. Iska Varnan kijiye. So Varnam. So Krishna Varnam means one who is always describing Krishna. Another meaning of Varna is category. Right? Remember there are 4 Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Varna means category. So Krishna Varna means one who is in the category of Krishna, which means same as Krishna. So Krishna Varna. Tvisha Akrishna. So word Krishna of course is this, but another meaning of the word Krishna is dark. So Akrishna means not dark, which is golden in color. Tvisha means complexion. So Krishna Varnam Tvisha Akrishna. So a person who has a golden complexion is always describing about Krishna. That's the description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he comes, Sango Pangastra Parshadam. Sa, he, or with actually. Sa, Anga means his immediate associates. Upa Anga means associates of associates or extended associates. And Parshada means his other friends and associates. Or in another way, Krishna comes with his weapons and all of his friends and entourage together. Sa Anga Upa Anga Parshada. Sango Pangas Astra Parshada. Astra means weapons also. So Krishna never comes alone. And Krishna is never alone. In the late 60s, when devotees were just getting to know Prabhupada, Prabhupada would say, some of them were artists and they wanted to make a painting of Krishna. And so Krishna Prabhupada said yes. So one of them made a painting with Krishna and the clouds, just floating. Prabhupada said, this is bogus. So whenever you see a picture of Krishna alone somewhere in the clouds or all, he said it's bogus. Because Krishna is never alone. There's never a moment where Krishna is alone. His devotees are always with him. So it may be the cows, the peacocks, Yamuna river, the birds, the gopis, or the gopas, but Krishna is never alone. So Sango Pangastra Parshadam. So all of them, along with this person, they do something. Yagnai Sankirtana Praya. They engage in, prior means almost always. Sankirtan Yajna. And Yajna Sankirtanaya Praya Yajantihi Sumedasa. So the word Sumedha, Medha means brain. or intelligence. And Sumedha means very intelligent. When a person does his good capabilities, he or she, but does something foolish, they're called Kumedhas. Kumedha means one who uses intelligence in the wrong way, in a destructive way. Sumedha means very intelligent. So, very intelligent persons, along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will engage in Sankirtan Yajna. That's what the Bhagavatam says when Kali Yuga comes. So, among Chaitanya, so all of Krishna's associates, Radharani primarily, and all of the gopis, and the assistants of the gopis, Lord Balaram on this side, and all his friends, when Krishna appears, they all manifest in this world for us to hear about and fortunate enough to see and hear their descriptions about. So when Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they all come along with him and they play different roles, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now playing a hidden role, right? Remember? Channa avatar. So all these associates also come in different roles to assist him and to enhance his leela, his engagement. So when I say like this, on this side of the Shaktis, where there is Radharani, she has 8 what are called gopis, principal gopis. Lalita, Vishakha, Tungabhadra, Rangadevi, Tungavidya, Rangadevi, etc. 8 of them. And these gopis have associates who are called manjaris. Okay? These manjaris are considered to be like little children, small girls, who are not of adolescent age, young. And they manjaris, they assist the gopis in their service to Radha and Krishna. So the manjaris are considered very intimate, because what manjaris can do, no one else can do. So they all have different names. There's a whole description that each gopi has her own set of manjaris, 8 of them like that. So there are so many of these manjaris. So one of those manjaris, her name is Rupa Manjari. Like that. So there are these very close associates of Krishna. So when Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Rupa Manjari comes as Rupa Goswami. And a whole bunch of these manjaris come in different ways. For example, there is another manjari who comes as Jagannath Das Babaji, who is there on the altar. So Lalita and Vishakha, they come as Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Of course, Radharani is Radharani. But Radharani's mood, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes, and Radharani herself comes as Gadadhar Pandit. Lord Nityananda is Balaram, like that. So there's all the associates come. There's a whole book that describes who's who in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, a parallel between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna's pastime. Have you seen the song book? You have the song book at home? So the song book, the blue color. Not that song book. So not that song book. Okay, the other Vaishnava song book. Anyway, there's a picture. The top half of the picture shows you Krishna and Radha and their associates, and the bottom half of the picture shows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their associates, almost like a replica, but just they're doing different roles because it's a different leela. So Rupa Goswami is a very close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But here's how the storyline goes. This is during the reign of Aurangzeb, because India was, that part of India, especially the north part of India, was ruled over by the Mughal kings, and all through school we did so much history, starting from Babur, after someone, then there was Jahangir, then there was some Humayun, then there was Akbar. I got the order wrong, but I hope that's what it is. The Akbar, and then someone else, then there was Shah Jahan, and there was Aurangzeb. So this is during that time, late 17th, 18th century, 17th century. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent was around that time. So, down in South India, in Karnataka, there is a family of what are called Saraswat Brahmins. So in India, there are many types of Brahmin families. The Saraswat Brahmin is considered like the top quality, thoroughbreds. So this Saraswat Brahmin family had 3 brothers. One of their name was Santosh, I forget the other name, and the other third person was 3 brothers. Very little children. The family had moved to Bengal area from Karnataka because that was a seat of learning at one point, and whichever king would give employment to the Brahmanas, they would go. So they had come there. So these young boys who had grown up were very, very super brilliant. So exceptionally brilliant that the word went to Nawab Hussain Shah. Nawab Hussain Shah was king of, at that time, pretty much 2/3 of India. That included all of East and West Bengal. Of course, we make a distinction now, but at that time it was all Bengal. All of the far east, all of the middle area, all the way down towards Andhra and the province called Madras. But all of it belonged to him. He was the boss. So these 3 brothers, especially 2 of them, they were so brilliant because they came from a very amazing family. But yes, 2 of them were very amazing. They knew 7 languages fluently, including Persian and all that. So he wanted to employ them in his administration. So in that time, if you did anything for a Muslim king, or you even interacted with a Muslim, the community would ostracize you because you cannot. So what Muslim kings would do is, they would forcibly make someone drink the same water that they drank. And if you drank that water, then you're cast, you're gone. You would either become a Muslim, and the rest of the Hindu families would excommunicate you. So the Nawab Hussain Shah sent a proposal. Please, you get job offer letter. No interview also. Nice, huh? Come and become chief officers. Become the prime minister and the finance minister of my entire kingdom. And your salary will be 2 million gold coins per year. Imagine the wealth. Gold, not electronic money, real money. 2 million gold coins per year. That's your salary. So these 2 said, no thank you. We will not work for a Muslim king. How much ever money you give. No. So he sent them back another proposal. I have decided that I will kill all the Vaishnavas one after the other if you don't accept my proposal. So now you choose. Do you want the job, or do you want all the Vaishnavas to die? So they said, we will work for you. Just let the Vaishnavas live peacefully. So from the beginning they showed that service to the devotees of Krishna stands very, very high. At the cost of their own, what was the risk? The entire Hindu community would excommunicate them because they are in the employment of the Muslims. They said, okay, that's the price to pay for the protection of the Vaishnavas. So we'll work for it. So they became Prime Minister and Finance Minister. The older brother became Finance Minister, the younger brother became Prime Minister. And they got Muslim names, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. Dabir Khas was this boy Rupa, and Sakar Malik was the older brother. Sanatan Goswami, which will come together. And the third brother remained. He had something else to do in the family, and he was also there. Now, with time, they became such experts at administration, because they were already very good, that they were so good that the kingdom started expanding even more. The Nawab did not do any work. He sat in his wonderful palace, was completely intoxicated from morning till night, and was engaging in unlimited sense gratification, sexual escapades with women, because he didn't have to worry. Those two were taking care of the kingdom. And they were so good at it. So this is something to learn. That when we get jobs, we might think, oh, I should do my job properly or not. Rupa and Sanatan did their jobs fantastic. Why? Because they understood. If they don't do properly, then the Nawab will go after the Vaishnavas. So to somehow keep him away from the Vaishnavas, they made sure that they did excellent job. Their names got changed, their dress changed. They were wearing like Muslim type dress. They even had their facial features, how Muslims have beards and no mustache. And they were speaking in Urdu and Persian and all that. And so the rest of the Hindu community was basically excommunicated. But privately at home, they would call the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, and they would study Bhagavatam every day. Every day. In fact, they had such a big palace and a huge backyard that in the backyard, the brothers constructed all of Vrindavan in their backyard. Govardhan Hill was there, the Yamuna River was there, all the places where Krishna had performed his pastimes, they created like a replica in their backyard so they can easily remember Krishna. But when they would walk out of the door, they would wear all their kurta and that, and so Assalamu alaikum, and run the business and the empire like a king, a Muslim king. So that is how it must be. That what our Krishna consciousness is internal. It's not something we have a flag. I am a Hare Krishna devotee. It is internal. And our actions speak more than our tongue. By genuine character and sincerity and honest dealings and all that. So while they were in this area called Ramakeli, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared in Bengal, made his residence in Jagannath Puri. There's a whole story why, we won't get there. And so from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place, Ramakeli is northeast. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I want to go to Vrindavan, which is northwest. And so started walking. And quote unquote lost his way and showed up in Ramakeli. Now, he's Krishna himself, it's not like he used to get lost. But you understand, what is the inner hidden reason? He wants to meet his two very close associates. So he appears and he shows up in Ramakeli. Meanwhile, previously, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri and his popularity was growing, Rupa and Sanatan were writing letters to him regularly. We are fed up working for the Muslim king. We want to leave everything and come join you. We want to be with you. And they would write so many letters. They wouldn't get any response. No response at all. So they kept doing what they were doing and writing, please give us permission to get rid of working. One day only one letter came. And the letter came in and there was an answer. The answer was very enigmatic. And the answer said that a wife who has a boyfriend does her household work so nicely that the husband cannot suspect anything. That was the answer from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they were like, the point being made was that their attraction to Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be kept hidden. But they should do their work so nicely that the Muslim king will have no suspicion that something is brewing there. That was the answer they got. And so that's how they stayed. So finally, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Ramakeli, he wanted to meet them. So these two brothers came running. And this is how they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They took straw, not the plastic one, the dry grass, between their teeth. Because in olden times, when you take straw in your teeth, it is a sign of humility. That in front of a very great person, you are saying you are like the straw on the street. There is a difference between grass and straw. Straw is the dried up grass. So if you step on grass goes like this. As soon as you take out your foot, the grass comes back like that. So if you are forced to become humble, then you remain humble. Once the pressure is gone, you pride again. But straw that is dry is always, whether you step on it or don't step on it, is always like this. So it's called trina. So in olden times, they would take straw in their mouth and stand in front of the great person. Means, I am very humble in front of you. So Sanatana and Rupa came in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, the whole world around us thinks we are very, very intelligent and very knowledgeable. But actually we are fools. Because we don't know who we are. I may have all this knowledge, but if I don't know that I am a servant of Krishna, my knowledge is useless. So everyone thinks we are very great, but we don't know who we are. That is how to approach a guru. I don't know. I don't know anything. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed and smiled and touched their heads and said, both of you are actually my very close associates. Your name is Rupa, your name is Sanatana. And from today on, you don't have to be working for this Muslim king. I would like you to go to Vrindavan. Okay? And in Vrindavan, I would like you to do two things. This is your life's mission. One, excavate all the places of Krishna's pastimes, like an archaeological study. Excavate all of those places. One. And second, write voluminous books on the science of bhakti. And I will teach you. Oh, wonderful. This is what we are there waiting for. So from Ramakeli, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to Vrindavan. Now these two have to get there. So one day Sanatana Goswami writes a letter to his boss. Today I am working from home. I am not well. I am working from home. Because now there's a distaste for working for a Muslim king, distaste for being the Prime Minister, distaste from all of it. The whole mind is absorbed in serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Muslim king says, oh, Sakara Malik is not well. Let me go see how he is doing. Comes home and he sees Sanatana Goswami is actually doing very well, studying with a whole group of devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam. So he becomes very angry. And he says, you're lying to me. I'm going to punish you. And so he puts Rupa and Sanatana in jail. Because he's angry. Now, two of his best men are going to leave him. The best thing to do is put them in jail. So, a long story short, Sanatana Goswami has enough money that he bribes the jailkeeper and makes his way to Vrindavan. When we talk of Sanatana Goswami, we'll go through the detail of his story. Rupa Goswami also gets out of jail somehow, but he has all this money. It is described that when Rupa Goswami put all of his money in one place, it was a large boat full of gold coins. Large boat full of gold coins. So he divided the money. 50% he gave away all the money in charity to Vaishnavas for Krishna's service. 25% he kept aside for expenses. And 25% he kept aside as savings, just in case. Left all of his royal garments. He and Sanatan picked rags. They used to wear called kopin. You know what a kopin means? It's like a Brahman underwear. Just that's all they would wear. Kopin. Left all the silk garments. Left the great palace. Left all the elephants, the horses, the servants, the eating in gold plate. Left everything. Wore kopin and was walking towards Vrindavan. Is their greatness. And there started writing. And while they were going, so from where they are, if you have to go to Vrindavan, you have to pass to a place called Varanasi. We call it Kashi. In Kashi, they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. And on the banks of the Ganges, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed in long discussions Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami in the science of bhakti. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a whole voluminous section on the teachings to Rupa Goswami and the teachings to Sanatana Goswami. And he told them, all that I have to teach you, I have taught you for 7 days. Now you take this and start writing different books for the general population. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not write anything. All other acharyas wrote. He is too much like Krishna. Krishna doesn't do any work. Always playing the flute. No work for him. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you write for me. So they came to Vrindavan and they started writing. Sanatana Goswami had a place, Rupa Goswami had a place. Every day they would meet and they would talk and they would discuss and they would write. So if you ever happen to go to Vrindavan, there was a place where Rupa Goswami used to sit. There's a place called Ted Kadamba. Kadamba is a tree that has flowers that are spherical in shape and very fragrant. Krishna is one of his favorite flowers called the Kadamba tree. So Krishna would wear Kadamba garlands. So Ted Kadamba, Teda means not straight. So if you go now, you will see all the trees, that Kadamba trees and all the trees are like this. So they are called Ted Kadamba. Beautiful place. So Rupa Goswami would sit there and he would write. It's on the way between Vrindavan, basically Raman Reti, where Krishna would play with his friends, and Nanda Maharaja's house. It's right in between. And Rupa Goswami was such a writer that his writings had so much power. One night, Rupa Goswami had a dream. And Satyabhama, actually he was thinking, I should write a drama about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And then he was thinking, but then Krishna also went to Dwaraka. So if I write this book, it will be a very massive book. Because so many different pastimes. So he was thinking like that and he went to sleep. So one night in his dream, Satyabhama came. And she said, not one, you should write them as 2 different books. One book, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and one book, Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. So he named the 2 books Lalita Madhava and Vidagdha Madhava. So Lalita Madhava means playful Krishna, and Vidagdha Madhava means Krishna who is very, who plays with your heart and evokes all sorts of emotions. Now these 2 brothers, they lived in a very renounced way. Prabhupada states that they would not eat anything. They were so infused with Krishna consciousness that they had no sense of I am this body. So they never ate anything, they never slept. All they would eat is once in 2 days or 3 days, they would have a palm full of buttermilk. That's it. Or a palm full of milk. And that's all they would eat once in 2 or 3 days. And sleeping, because they were sannyasis, they would sleep under a tree and every day a different tree. You know why a different tree? Because when you sleep under one tree, and you sleep under the same tree every day, it becomes very comfortable. And then you think, this is my place. In the early 70s, when Prabhupada would go on a morning walk, one day in New York City, he was walking with his disciples. And every day Prabhupada, wherever he was, he would go for morning walks, and that would be the time for discussing wonderful topics. So once Prabhupada came up to a tree, and there were a lot of bird droppings on the ground. So Prabhupada pointed with his cane, what is this? So everyone looked at each other and said, bird droppings, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, yes. What does it tell you? What does a bird dropping tell you? They were looking at each other. What is the deep answer Prabhupada will give? Prabhupada said, you see so many bird droppings in the same place. This means the same bird is sitting on this branch every day. And every day sitting there and thinking, this is my branch. So if a bird can think, this is my branch, human beings, little things they'll think, this is mine. Right? The sense of mine is very strong. So sometimes we think rejection or vairag, giving up means you give up things. Right? That's what people think. That vairagi means you have to give up things. So Prabhupada said, giving up things means like coming in front of American Express Bank and telling, I reject, I give up American Express Bank. Does it make any sense? No. Why? Because it's not your bank. What is the meaning of saying I give up American Express Bank? It's not your bank. So when you say I give up this house, I give up this car, it's not yours. Every day under a new tree, and once in 3 days a little buttermilk, some butter or makka, or milk. That's it. And road. So when Rupa Goswami had this dream that he should write 2 different books, one in Vrindavan and outside. So Krishna in Vrindavan, especially the pastimes are very painful to the heart because Krishna left Vrindavan, as they say, to go to Mathura. And when Krishna left, all of Vrindavan became pretty much like a dead place. Everyone felt their life is gone. Because every day they want to see Krishna. The cows, the birds, the river, the gopis, the gopas, the older ones, the younger ones, everyone. They would constantly wait to see Krishna. And when Krishna left from Mathura, the pain was so intense. So when Rupa Goswami was writing about Krishna leaving Vrindavan, the power of his writing, the description was so intense that in Ted Kadamba area, all the trees started shedding their leaves. All the flowers went drooping like this. The birds would not chirp or cry, nothing. All the creepers, they're called lavanya, they became dry just by his writing. And when he wrote about Krishna entering Vrindavan back again, as he was writing, the trees had new flowers. The creepers were fully green. The birds were singing. The river was flowing. The whole environment changed just by the power of his writing. This is Rupa Goswami's intensity of writing and who he is and what he did. So Rupa and Sanatan were very, very special. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is Krishna, no one can understand what is the deep inner meanings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart. It was difficult. One day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came after bathing in the Ganges river. He came and he was reciting a shloka, half a shloka. And the half a shloka sounded like one of the Bollywood songs, like a girl crying for her lost love. Something. And everyone was, what is he reciting? What is he saying? No one knew. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked inside his bhajan kutir and said, Rupa Goswami, who happened to be there, took a palm leaf and wrote the other half of the shloka. Because he knew this is actually Srimati Radharani crying in separation from Krishna. And it seemed like a mundane thing. It's like, oh, it's the same Yamuna river, it's the same birds, but I have no attraction to them. And the other half had to be filled. So he wrote it. And everyone was so stunned. How did you know this? How did you know this? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very close associates, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, they said, how is it that Rupa Goswami knows the inner things, inner core things in your heart? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and said, he has received my entire mercy. Okay. So he is very special. So we have this verse, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Mana Abhishtam means the very deep desires in the heart. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Sthapitam Yena Bhutale. One who established Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's innermost desires on this earth. Swayam Rupa, himself, Rupa Goswami did it. And the prayer says, Kada Mahyam, when will we get a drop of mercy of Rupa Goswami? Because he understood the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is Rupa Goswami. I was going to show you a short video. It's a 45-minute video, so I'm not going to go through the 45 minutes. I'm going to give you a little teaser, and then I'll let you deal with it later. You can watch it later. But I'm going to show you a few things. This is just one aspect of Rupa Goswami's scholastic ability. Forget about devotional ability. It's just scholastic ability. Can I get the computer and you can fire it up? Yeah, show you a video. Any questions, comments while I pull up the video?
What is the exact meaning of the word yajna?
The word yajna in Sanskrit means, technically it means Vishnu. So when you are performing yajna, that means you are offering to Vishnu. That's what it means. And Krishna or Vishnu is called Yajnapati or Yajna. YouTube. Any other question, comment? So now you know, if you're going to read from Rupa Goswami's work, we're not dealing with the ordinary New York bestseller, New York Times bestseller, but something was very special.
What happened when these both left the king's rule, and then the king got mad and then again tried to threaten them by saying that I'll...
So they escaped from jail.
But again threatened them that I'll be the Vaishnava.
By this time it was too late. By this time it was too late. It was too late because now they are going to Vrindavan upon Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order. So Krishna's protection is there.
Oh.
What happened now? This one? Alright. Let's see. Internet is not working. What, your internet is someone has to hold in your hand? Not to reset.
Try Krishna house, not 5G.
Signal is not good.
So there were 6 Goswamis. So in the center of the picture are the 2, Rupa and Sanatan. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, the picture of the 6 saints on the right side. And you remember there was a third brother. His name was Sri Vallabha. His son became Jiva Goswami. And Prabhupada said that the whole world has never seen nor shall ever see a scholar as brilliant as Jiva Goswami. So Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabharata. Mahabharata has 100,000 shlokas, right? So Jiva Goswami wrote so prolifically, he wrote 400,000 slokas. Okay? So Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. So you can think of it as a couple of Mahabharats and 8 or 10 Bhagavatams. So prolific a writer and so scholarly, so brilliant. So that's the third one, Jiva Goswami. Then there is Raghunath Das Goswami, who was a personal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who stayed with him in Jagannath Puri. Then there was Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So 2, 3, 4, 5 and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami was the nephew of the head priest of Sri Rangam temple in South India. His name was Venkata Bhatta. And Venkata Bhatta's nephew was Gopal. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited there, he wanted to be with her. He said, no, not right now, you're too young. Later you come to Rupa and Sanatana. So when he grew up, he came, and today in Vrindavan there is a Radha Raman temple. So he established the Radha Raman temple. Radha Govindadev temple was established by Rupa Goswami. Radha Madan Mohan temple was established by Sanatana Goswami. Like that, they all were very, very amazing personalities. Ready? Alright. So I want you to play this one. Okay? Play this one. And with the audio, you have audio here?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do a few minutes. Let's see how it goes. This little video is called Chitta Kavitvani. They'll explain. I'll tell you to forward a little bit. Shivasantil, I'm going to ask you to forward some time and then
Sure.
pause. And okay. Start, go ahead.
Just a second. Just get it over.
We need Karthik to hold something.
No. Speak it.
Full screen.
Boss.
Full screen. Does it work?
No duplicates. Don't extend duplicate.
दुष्कराणि कविद्वान्
No, it's okay. Play right from here. Don't go back. If you have audio, I mean, if you see visual, no audio. If you have audio, no visual.
श्री रूप कविभूतो मे सदेया बुद्धि संपदम् May Sri Rupa, mighty king of poets, composes poetical verses that are extremely difficult to compose. Grant me the wealth of intelligence needed to understand them.
So this is the Chitta Kavitvani found in Rupa Goswami's Stavamala. So we're going to be looking at 12 verses today. Now this word Chitra has two meanings. Either it can mean like Adbhut, very amazing, or it can mean like a picture. So the first 4 verses are going to be very amazing, and we'll see why in a minute. And the last 8 verses are going to be picture verses. So Stavamala was a work composed by Rupa Goswami. Actually, it wasn't written all at one time. He didn't sit down and write it at a stretch. It was different stavas that he composed, sometimes while walking through the forest of Vrindavan, sometimes really sitting down and carefully constructing them like these ones. And it was actually Rupa Goswami who later compiled all of those prayers into this book, Stavamala. So it's a garland of stavas. Now stava is generally translated as a prayer, but it's a special kind of a prayer actually. In Bhakti-rasamrita-sindhu in the Eastern Ocean, Rupa Goswami comments, what's the difference between a stava and a stotra? He says there that a stotra, both of these words, stava and stotra, come from the Sanskrit dhatu stu, which means to praise. But what's the difference? A stotra is a prayer composed by previous acharyas that one recites at the pleasure of the Lord, whereas a stava is one's own personal outpouring of one's heart to the Lord. That's one's personal offering. So these are Rupa Goswami's personal outpourings. It's garland of stavas. So in this, in making this presentation, in translating these verses, we followed Baladev Vijayabhushana's Sanskrit commentary, which is called Stavamala Bhushana, named after Baladev Vijayabhushana. So this is actually the last work written by Baladev Vijayabhushana, this commentary on Stavamala. And we see here, we're used to his more philosophical side, but we see here his wonderful poetic side at the same time. So let's begin. So the first verse is amazing because he's going to use words which only have the consonants ra and sa. So let's have a look.
So the whole verse is composed by only ra and sa, and not just some sound, it has to have meaning. So he's going to show us how that works. Good.
Probably justice.
And you're on speaker.
Rasasara susaro Tarasaha Samsara Sirasorase Suviram Susasarasaha.
So here, Rupa Goswami desires to describe a particular topic, which is the rasa dance. So because the word rasa has the consonants ra and sa in it, so all the other words he's going to choose to describe the rasa dance with are also going to have only the consonants ra and sa. We can't actually do this in English. These are what we would call transcendental tongue twisters. Like we learned some mundane ones when we were kids. She sells seashells by the seashore or something like that. Something which is difficult to pronounce fast. So similarly these verses can be quite difficult to read and very difficult to compose. So this is about the rasa dance. And we see many other words that we're familiar with. Rasa, asura, samsara, etc. Sarasa, Vajasva, all composed with the consonants ra and sa. But somebody may ask at this point, what about that H with a dot underneath it? And what about that M with a dot on top? Don't they look like consonants? Well, actually, in the Sanskrit alphabet, those two letters, the M and the H with the dots, they're listed in between the vowels and the consonants, and they're considered neutral. They could be considered vowels or consonants. So for the purpose of these verses, they're considered vowels. So there really is only two consonants here. So not only is it a transcendental tongue twister, but you can see which kind of meaning he's managed to bring out in such constricting circumstances.
Filled with transcendental amorous desire, the son of Nanda, who showers forth nectar, whose thighs are strong, who is the enemy of the demons, and who is the sword that cuts down the cycle of repeated birth and death, entered the the rasa dance, holding a lotus flower.
Okay, so here's the second verse. In this verse we're going to see the consonants Sha and Ra. Only they will be used.
Chachoro rochiruchora ruchiroram charachare choracharo chirachiram ruchacharurachuchurat.
Okay, so the key word here, it's like in the last verse the key word was rasa. The key word here is chora, Krishna's thief. So we'll see how the translation goes.
Acting like a thief, the broad-chested son of Nanda, the most handsome person in the world, quickly stole the gopis' garments. He was attractive because of his splendor, and his beauty was enhanced by the sandal paste adorning him.
Okay, this is a two consonant verse again, with the consonants dha and ra.
Dhare dhara dhara dharam dhara dhara dhuradhi dhira dhira radhadhi dhodam radha dhuram dharam.
Okay, so the key word here is the second word, dhara dhara dharam, which is a synonym of basically giritari. The phrase here, the key word is giritari. So what's interesting is there is a really neat play on words that Rupa Goswami is using here. In Sanskrit we have one verbal root, tri, which means to hold or to maintain. So we have, if you look at the second word, in the word for word, we have Dhara, which is the name of the earth. And she's called Dhara from the Dhatu tree because she maintains all the living entities on her surface. And then you have mountains, and they're called Dharadharas because they nourish or support the earth in various ways. For example, they create precipitation which creates rainfall, or they shelter the valleys from the winds and so on. In various ways they maintain or support the earth. And then Krishna, he's called Dharadharadharam because he's holding the mountain, Giriraj. So he's, in effect, he's the holder of the holder of the holder, because, as you can see. And then we have this next word, dhara and dhara, again from the same Dhatu tree, to hold. So this first word, dhara, means a shower, a heavy rainfall. And dhara means something which holds that or contains that. So clouds are called dharadharas because they contain a heavy shower in them. So Govardhan is described here as the hill that was blocking this heavy, forceful attacks of the clouds. The clouds were sending rain, hail, thunderbolts, and so on. Actually, in this regard, there's a very interesting explanation that Baladev Vijabhushana gives of the name Govardhana. Because also in this Stavamala, Rupa Goswami wrote a Govardhana Ashtakam in this Stavamala, and there he praised the Govardhana, "Oh Govardhana, you have earned your name." And Baladev Vijabhushana explains that phrase, and he gives a very interesting alternate explanation of Govardhana. He quotes the dictionary, which gives 10 different meanings of the word go. And one of those meanings is actually a thunderbolt. Less common meaning, but nonetheless a valid meaning. So, go can mean a thunderbolt. Usually we understand Vardhana to come from the verbal root vrid, which means to nourish or to expand. And usually we understand that Govardhan Hill gives nourishment to the cows, expands the number of the cows, etc. But if you, instead of making it from vrid, if you make it from vard, which means to smash, then Govardhan becomes a name that means, oh you who smash the thunderbolt. Because in poetry, the thunderbolt and the mountain are eternal enemies. The thunderbolt tips off the wings of the mountains and they fall to the ground and then you become stuck as mountains. So Govardhan is that hill. This is why he's Giriraja, one of the reasons. He's the king of the hills because he's that hill who on behalf of all the other hills has taken revenge against their eternal enemy, the thunderbolt, and he smashed the thunderbolt. When the thunderbolt was hitting Giriraj, it wasn't Giriraj that was feeling the pain, it was the thunderbolt that was feeling the pain. So, hear the translation.
Beneath Govardhan Hill, which was blocking the forceful attack of the devastating clouds, steady-minded Radha worshipped the Supreme Lord, who held up the hill and removed the anguish of his devotees.
Okay, now this one's really chitra. This is really amazing. He's done a verse using only one consonant, the consonant na. This is a real tongue twister.
Ninun na no nanam no nam na no no na no ni na ne na nam ninun ne nam na nam na no no.
So you see, kind of scholarship.
So the key phrase
Do
here
something like this. More come, keep going.
is the word, last word, the word nanu. And whenever we see this word in Sanskrit, it means that there's an argument going on, there's a debate going on. Nanu indicates what we call the Purva Paksha, the opposition's opinion. So at this phrase, at this stage, somebody is stepping in and saying, why are you offering so much praise to Krishna, who's just a small cowherd boy? So the word nanu, as you can see in the word for word, is a rebuttal. O you objector, O you disputant, hear what we have to say.
And this is what we have to say. This is what Rupa Goswami has to say. Did not the many-headed Lord Brahma, who impels the various demigods, offer prayers with tears streaming down his face, trying to pacify Lord Krishna, the killer of Shakatasura?
Okay, so as you mentioned, the first 4 verses were chitra, meaning that they're amazing. He only used 2 consonants or even 1 consonant to compose the verse. Now we're resorting to the other meaning of the word chitra, which means picture. So our first picture verse is the Chakrabandha, the wheel formation.
Gandha madalini vane hara prabhati plutam sampushnam tamupaskrita dhaniyami vichi sriyoranjakam sadyastungita vibhramam sunibhite shītānilai sukhyade devam nagabhujam sadara samayam tam naumi kanchinnube.
So this is what the verse looks like in Devanagari. It's the form of a chariot wheel. So we'll show you how to read this verse in the picture. So here it comes.
Gandha Krishna Guru Madalini Vane Hara Prabhati Plutam सम्पुष्णं तमुपस्कृता ध्वनिगमी वीचि श्रियोरञ्जकम् सद्यस्तुङ्गितविभ्रमं सुनिभृते शीतानिलैः सौख्यदे देवं नागभुजं सदा रसमयं तं नौमि कञ्चिन्मुदे. Okay, so it's a little difficult when composing these verses because certain syllables have to be shared. Like for example, you see that ni in the circle right in the middle, that has to be used 3 times, and whatever's at the end of a spoke, like these syllables, ga, sa, tum, kum, they have to be used twice also. So when composing these verses, not only do we have to fit things in the meter. If you try to compose a Sanskrit verse before, sometimes we're asked to compose pranam verses for new sannyasis, or it's very difficult actually to compose a verse because you have a meter you have to fit into, and that's a pattern of short and long syllables. For example, in the Brahma Samhita meter, you have to fit in the pattern which is a certain pattern of short syllables and long syllables. Like in Krishna's name, Ajita, it's 3 short syllables, but in Radha, it's 2 long syllables. So you have to fit into like a Morse code pattern. You have to choose words which fit into that arrangement. It's really difficult to do. And then to, on top of that, make everything fit into a picture, this set picture format. And then on top of that, to make it have any kind of meaning, it's an accomplishment. And then to see such a kind of meaning as this, it's beyond material intelligence. Rupa Goswami is an absolute genius.
In a secluded forest, which attracts swarms of maddened bees with its fragrance, which contains many decorated paths, and which gives pleasure with its cool breezes, I always glorify a certain Lord in order to attain spiritual bliss. That rasa-laden Lord, the maintainer of his devotees, is flooded with the splendor of many necklaces. His arms are like snakes. He immediately increases the agitation within the heart, and he tinges the luster of the Yamuna's waves with the luster of his nails, lips, yellow cloth, necklaces, bracelets, and crowns.
Okay, that's not all. With this verse there was another amazing feature that's hidden inside. So an extra speciality of this verse is that Rupa Goswami has ingeniously placed a hidden signature inside the spokes of the wheel. The signature is not apparent in the verse. It becomes visible only when the verse is drawn in the wheel formation. So if we look at the inner spokes of the wheel, we see this phrase, Krishna Stuti-rasa Rupa Virajita, which means this prayer to Krishna was composed by Rupa. Actually, this is not in Baladev's commentary. We just happened to chance upon it when we were drawing up the verse. We just happened to see, I wonder if there's anything in the inner spokes of this wheel, because it's not a standard feature of this verse. And I almost fell off my seat when I saw this hidden signature of Rupa Goswami. I thought, that's amazing. And you can't actually see it. When you look at the 4-line verse, you can't see the signature at all. You can't figure out how it's there. But when you draw it here, it becomes apparent. Okay.
Okay, one more and then we'll start. Keep going.
रासेसारङ्गसङ्घाच्युतनवनलिना प्रायपक्षस्तदामा बर्हालङ्कारहारा स्फुरदमलमहारागचित्रे जयाय गोपालो दासवीथि ललितहितरवस्फारहास स्थिरात्मा नव्योजस्रं क्षणोपाश्रितवितलबलो वीक्षरङ्गं बभासे.
Okay, so this is the snake formation here. We're going to start with the snake's head and we're going to come out through his tail.
रासे सारङ्गसङ्घाचितनवनलिना प्रायपक्षस्तदामा.
Okay, you may have noticed there that we did a little loop here around the snake's curly tail. Na, Nina. So we shared this syllable twice. And there's going to be some other shared syllables. Actually, one amazing thing about this verse, the particular meter that this verse is composed in is called Shraddha, which means wearing a garland. Rupa Goswami chose to, he's very playful when he's composing these verses, so he chose the first line of this verse to describe Krishna who is wearing a garland. So the contents of the verse match the name of this verse's meter, Shraddha. So you can see in this first line, whose garland is wearing a garland of lotuses on its chest, swarm, surrounded by a swarm of bees. So far we've gotten up to here, and let's see how the second line goes. Barhalankara Spuradamalamaharaga-chitre jayaya. Okay, and the further? Gopalo dasavithi lalita-hitarava-spharahasa sthiratma. And in the fourth line? Navyojasram kshanopasrita-vitalabalo viksharangam babhase. So, this is very difficult to make this verse work. Basically, whenever you see these squares, the corner ones, like these, have to be shared. And the snake's tail is shared. Se is the last syllable of the verse, and it's the second syllable, Ra, Se, Saranga. So, very difficult to fit the meter, to fit this picture, and to keep in mind all of these syllables that have to be used 2 or 3 times each in different places. So let's see the meaning, the most astounding meaning.
To increase his glory, Lord Gopala, who is adorned with peacock feathers, ornaments, necklaces, and splendid, spotless, multicolored tilak, shone brilliantly when he saw the rasa dance arena. His chest was decorated with a fresh lotus garland, attracting many bees, and he was smiling broadly in response to the auspicious, pleasing sounds made by his devotees. Steady at heart and eternally young, he expanded himself into many forms during the dancing.
So like this, there are many formations. The lotus formation, the mridanga formation, this one, that one. All of that he composed different verses in glorification of Krishna. Right? Any questions? Not just on this. Any questions, comments? Yes.
Guruji, when you mention when Krishna takes birth, everyone descends down and set up a platform for Krishna. So in that case, you were mentioning about who was Rupa Goswami and everyone. So they were already liberated souls, right?
Right.
They were serving them. So all these people who are acharyas, are already liberated and they were serving Krishna.
Right.
So once they come down here, doesn't mean that they get liberated from here, right? They were already liberated and came down.
Right. So already liberated. So they come because Krishna is here and they are assisting Krishna in their pastimes. So they don't behave, they are not bound by the laws of this world.
So it's like they also would have gone from here to the liberated
It's
state.
not necessary. So in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, Krishna says, Dvavimo Purusham Loke. Dvavimo. There are two categories of Purusha, means living entities in this world. Ksharascha Kshara Evacha. Kshara means one who can fall or degrade. Ksharas cha aksharacha, one who cannot degrade. So there are two types. So in a simpler Nectar devotion language, we'll read, there are two types of entities. One is called Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha is eternally perfect. And we belong to what is called Nitya Baddha, eternally bound. Okay. In the same world, Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddhas can be there. But we go through birth and death, they are Nitya Siddhas. Now, to this realm of perfection, the Nitya Baddhas go through two pathways. One is called Sadhana Siddha, one who becomes perfect by the process of sadhana. And the other is called Kripa Siddhi, one who goes to the perfect state simply by mercy of Krishna. So the one that we, example that we give is, you can get a doctorate degree either by going through all your coursework or you get an honorary degree from the university. Just because the university gives honorary degree, we all don't decide, that's what I want. We have to go through very special persons for no reason that we can explain easily, get a doctorate degree. Right? But because everyone else in university won't say, hey, what is this? Why are they being given? They are given. It's a very special gesture. So there is the Nitya Siddhas, the Sadhana Siddhas and the Kripa Siddhas. But when they are together, they don't say, which line are you from? It's not like that. Siddha is Siddha. But we are in the category of Nitya Baddha. They are not.
So is there anyone who have attained from the Nitya Baddha to that portion in this?
There is Dhruva is there. So the Bhagavad Gita, Dhruva Maharaj, a bunch of people. No problem. Bunch of people.
Once they reach there, they won't fall down, probably.
Huh?
Once they reach that stage, they won't fall down.
Krishna says, Tadham Paramam Mama, that you don't return back. One who goes back there will not come back. So Prabhupada was asked, so if you go back to Krishna's world, will you sure will not come back? And Prabhupada said, sure in the sense, unless you act foolishly, you won't come back. So he said like it's a bad dream, right? Or you made something, you did something and you got a reaction for it. Suppose you're playing with fire, you got a little next time you'll be careful? Of course. So you won't burn yourself. But you can always be negligent. So Krishna says, once you return, you will not come back, means after tasting the material world, no one will want to come back. Unless you say, no, I like IIT. I want to be I like the cold in Chicago. Other than that, no reason to come. Once you've had a bad experience, you don't want to repeat it.
Which means that when you go back, the soul has a memory of what happened in the material world?
Do you have a memory sometimes of a bad dream? Sometimes. Like, it's a bad dream. It's a bad dream. It's a dream state because we're thinking, I'm Aishwarya, I'm Nityananda Pran, I'm a student at IIT, I'm like this. It's a dream-like condition. Not a dream, it's a dream-like condition. So you wake up from the dream, it's like, I had a bad dream, I was Aishwarya in bed. I was a student in IIT, my crush. You know? Or Vaishnava doing PhD in IIT. Horrible dream. So, you have some, when you wake up, you have a sense of the memory of the dream. You're not living the dream, but you get the memory. Okay, anything else? Should we serve dinner? It's 9 o'clock. Or do you want to read a paragraph of Nectar of Devotion? What would you like?
Paragraph.
Start? You want to get the Nectar of Devotion, please? So I would like one of you to read. So go to preface. Yeah, preface. So I would like someone to read loudly one paragraph and then move to the next person and read the next paragraph like that. Okay? Abhishek, we start with you.
The Nectar of Devotion is a summary study of Bhakti-rasamrita-sindhu, which was written in Sanskrit by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. He was the chief of the 6 Goswamis who were the direct disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he first met Lord Chaitanya, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was engaged as a minister in the Mohammedan government of Bengal. He and his brother Sanatana were then named Dabira Khasa and Shakhara Malika respectively, and they held responsible posts as ministers of Nawab Hussain Shah. At that time, 500 years ago, the Hindu society was very rigid, and if a member of the Brahmana caste accepted the service of a Mohammedan ruler, he was at once rejected from Brahmana society. That was the position of the two brothers, Dabira Khasa and Sakara Malika. They belonged to the highly situated Saraswata Brahmana community, but they were ostracized due to their acceptance of ministerial posts in the government of Hussain Shah. It is the grace of Lord Chaitanya that he accepted these two exalted personalities as his disciples and raised them to the position of Goswamis, the highest position of Brahminical culture. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya accepted Haridas Thakur as his disciple. Although Haridas happened to be born of a Mohammedan family, and Lord Chaitanya later on made him the Acharya of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Lord Chaitanya's principle is universal. Anyone who knows the science of Krishna and is engaged in the service of the Lord is accepted as being in a higher position than a person born in the family of a Brahman. That is the original principle accepted by all Vedic literatures, especially by Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The principle of Lord Chaitanya's movement in educating and elevating everyone to the exalted post of a Goswami is taught in the Nectar of Devotion.
Lord Chaitanya made the two brothers Dabira Khasa and Sakara Malika in a village known as Ramakeli in the district of Malda. And after that meeting, the brothers decided to retire from government service and join Lord Chaitanya. Dabira Khasa, who was later to become Rupa Goswami, retired from his post and collected all the money he had accumulated during his service. It is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that his accumulated saving in gold coins equaled millions of dollars and filled a large bowl. He divided the money in a very exemplary manner, which should be followed by devotees in particular and by humanity in general. 50% of his accumulated wealth was distributed to the Krishna conscious persons, namely the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. 25% was distributed to relatives and 25% was kept against emergency expenditures and personal difficulties. Later on, when Sakara Malika were also proposed to retire, the Nawab was very much agitated and put him into jail. But Sakara Malika, who was later to become Srila Sanatana Goswami, took advantage of his brother's personal money, which had been deposited with a village banker, and escaped from the prison of Hussain Shah. In this way, both brothers joined Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Rupa Goswami first met Lord Chaitanya at Prayaga, and on the
Dasashwamedha
bathing Gata of that holy city of the Lord, instructed him continually for 10 days. The Lord particularly instructed Rupa Goswami on the science of Krishna consciousness. These teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada are narrated in our book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
Later, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada elaborated the teachings of the Lord with profound knowledge of revealed scriptures and authoritative references from various Vedic literatures. Srila Srinivasa Acharya describes in his prayers to the 6 Goswamis that they were all highly learned scholars, not only in Sanskrit but also in foreign languages such as Persian and Arabic. They very scrutinizingly studied all the Vedic scriptures in order to establish the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the authorized principles of Vedic knowledge. The present Krishna consciousness movement is also based on the authority of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. We are therefore generally known as Rupanugas, or followers in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. It is only for our guidance that Srila Rupa Goswami prepared his book Bhakti-rasamrita-sindhu, which is now presented in the form of Nectar of Devotion. Persons engaged in the Krishna consciousness movement may take advantage of this great literature and be very solidly situated in Krishna consciousness.
Bhakti means devotional service. Every service has some attractive feature which drives the servitor progressively on and on. Every one of us within this world is perpetually engaged in some sort of service, and the impetus for such service is the pleasure we derive from it. Driven by affection for his wife and children, a family man works day and night. A philanthropist works in the same way for love of the greater family, and a nationalist for the cause of his country and countrymen. That force which drives the philanthropist, the householder, and the nationalist is called rasa, or a kind of mellow whose taste is very sweet. Bhakti rasa is a mellow different from the ordinary rasa enjoyed by mundane workers. Mundane workers labor very hard day and night in order to relish a certain kind of rasa, which is understood as sense gratification. The relish or taste of the mundane rasa does not long endure, and therefore mundane workers are always apt to change their position of enjoyment. A businessman is not satisfied by working the whole week. Therefore, wanting a change for the weekend, he goes to a place where he tries to forget his business activities. Then after the weekend is spent in forgetfulness, he again changes his position and resumes his actual business activities. Material engagement means accepting a particular status for some time and then changing it. This position of changing back and forth is technically known as bhoga tyaga, which means a position of alternating sense enjoyment and renunciation. A living entity cannot steadily remain either in sense enjoyment or in renunciation. Change is going on perpetually, and we cannot be happy in either state because of our eternal constitutional position. Sense gratification does not endure for long, and it is therefore called Chapala Sukha, or flickering happiness. For example, an ordinary family man who works very hard day and night and is successful in giving comforts to the family of his members of his family, thereby relishes a kind of mellow but his whole advancement of material happiness immediately terminates along with his body as soon as his life is over. Death is therefore taken as the representative of God for the atheistic class of men. The devotee realizes the presence of God by devotional service, whereas the atheist realizes the presence of God in the shape of death. At death, everything is finished, and one has to begin a new chapter of life in a new situation, perhaps higher or lower than last one. In any field of activity, political, social, national, or international, the result of our actions will be finished with the end of life. That is sure.
Bhakti Rasa, however, the mellow relished in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, does not finish with the end of life. It continues perpetually and is therefore called Amrita, that which does not die but exists eternally. This is confirmed in all Vedic literatures. Bhagavad Gita says that a little advancement in Bhakti Rasa can save the devotee from the greatest danger, that of missing the opportunity for human life. The rasas derived from our feelings in social life, in family life, or in the greater family life of altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, socialism, communism, etc., does not guarantee that one's next life will be as a human being. We prepare our next life by our virtual activities in the present life. A living entity is offered a particular type of body as a result of his action in the present body. These activities are taken into account by a superior authority known as Daiva, or the authority of God. This Daiva is explained in Bhagavad Gita as the prime cause of everything. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that a man takes his next body by Daiva Netrena, which means by the supervision of the authority of the Supreme. In an ordinary sense, Daiva is explained as destiny. Daiva supervision gives us a body selected from 84 million forms. 8,400,000 forms. The choice does not depend on our selection, but is awarded to us according to our destiny. If our body at present is engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness, then it is guaranteed that we will have at least a human body in our next life. A human being engaged in Krishna consciousness, even if unable to complete the course of Bhakti Yoga, takes birth in the higher divisions of human society so that he can automatically further his advancement in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, all bona fide activities in Krishna consciousness are Amrita, or permanent. This is the subject matter of the Nectar of Devotion.
This eternal engagement in Bhakti Rasa can be understood by serious student upon studying the Nectar of Devotion. Adoption of Bhakti Rasa or Krishna consciousness will immediately bring one to an auspicious life free from anxieties and will bless one with transcendental existence, thus minimizing the value of liberation. Bhakti Rasa itself is sufficient to produce a feeling of liberation because it attracts the attention of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Generally, the neophyte devotees are anxious to see Krishna or God, but God cannot be seen or known by our present materially blunt senses. The process of devotional service as it is recommended in the Nectar of Devotion will gradually elevate one from the material condition of life to spiritual status, wherein the devotee becomes purified of all designations. The senses can then become uncontaminated, being constantly in touch with Bhakti Rasa. When the purified senses are employed in the service of Lord, one becomes situated in Bhakti Rasa life, and any action performed for the satisfaction of Krishna in this transcendental Bhakti Rasa stage of life can be relished perpetually. When one is thus engaged in devotional service, all varieties of rasas or mellows turn into eternity. In the beginning, one is trained according to the principle of regulation under the devotional service becomes automatic and spontaneous eagerness to serve Krishna.
Under the guidance of Acharya.
Under the guidance of Acharya or spiritual matters, and gradually when one is elevated, devotional service becomes automatic and spontaneous eagerness to serve Krishna. There are 12 kinds of rasa as will be explained in this book, and by renovating our relationship with Krishna in 5 primary rasa, we can live eternally in full knowledge and bliss.
The basic principle of the living condition is that we have a general propensity to love someone. No one can live without loving someone else. This propensity is present in every living being. Even an animal like a tiger has this loving propensity, at least in a dormant stage, and it is certainly present in the human beings. The missing point, however, is where to repose our love so that everyone can become happy. At the present moment, the human society teaches one to love his country or family or his personal self. But there is no information where to repose the loving propensity so that everyone can become happy. That missing point is Krishna. The nectar of devotion teaches us how to stimulate our original love for Krishna and how to be situated in that position where we can enjoy a blissful life.
In the primary stage, a child loves his parents, then his brothers and sisters, and as he daily grows up, he begins to love his family, society, community, country, nation, or even the whole human society. But the loving propensity is not satisfied even by loving all human society. That loving propensity remains imperfectly fulfilled until we know who is the supreme beloved. Our love can be fully satisfied only when it is reposed in Krishna. This theme is the sum and the substance of the nectar of devotion, which teaches us how to love Krishna in 5 transcendental mellows.
Our loving propensity expands just as a vibration of light or air expands, but we do not know where it ends. The nectar of devotion teaches us the science of loving everyone of the living entities perfectly by the easy method of loving Krishna. We have failed to create peace and harmony in human society, even by such great attempts as the United Nations, because we do not know the right method. The method is very simple, but one has to understand it with a cool head. The nectar of devotion teaches all men how to perform the simple and natural method of loving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we learn how to love Krishna, then it is very easy to immediately and simultaneously love every living being. It is like pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying food to one's stomach. The method of pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying foodstuffs to the stomach is universally scientific and practical, as every one of us has experienced. Everyone knows well that when we eat something, or in other words, when we put foodstuffs in the stomach, the energy created by such action is immediately distributed throughout the whole body. Similarly, when we pour water on the root, the energy thus created is immediately distributed throughout the entirety of even the largest tree. It is not possible to water the tree part by part, nor is it possible to feed the different parts of the body separately. The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn the one switch that will immediately brighten everything, everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life.
As far as material necessities are concerned, the human civilization at the present moment is very much advanced in living comfortably, but still we are not happy because we are missing the point. The material comforts of life alone are not sufficient to make us happy. The vivid example is America, the richest nation of the world, having all facilities for material comfort, is producing a class of men completely confused and frustrated in life. I am appealing here to such confused men to learn the art of devotional service as directed in the nectar of devotion, and I am sure that the fire of material existence burning with the hearts will be immediately extinguished. The root cause of our dissatisfaction is that our dormant loving propensity has not been fulfilled despite our great advancement in the materialistic way of life. The nectar of devotion will give us practical hints how we can live in the material world perfectly engaged in devotional service and thus fulfill all our desires in this life and the next. The nectar of devotion is not presented to condemn any way of materialistic life, but the attempt is to give information to the religionists, philosophers and the people in general to love Krishna. One may live without material discomfiture, but at the same time he should learn the art of loving Krishna. At the present moment we are inventing so many ways to utilize our propensity to love, but factually we are missing the real point Krishna. We are watering all parts of the tree but missing the tree's roots. We are trying to keep our body fit by all means, but we are neglecting to supply foodstuffs to the stomach. Missing Krishna means missing oneself also. Real self-realization and realization of Krishna go together simultaneously. For example, seeing oneself in the morning means seeing the sunrise also. Without seeing the sunshine, no one can see himself. Similarly, unless one has realized Krishna, there is no question of self-realization.
The nectar of devotion is specifically presented for persons who are now engaged in the Krishna consciousness movement. I beg to offer my sincere thanks to all my friends and disciplines who are helping me to push forward the Krishna consciousness movement in the Western countries. And I beg to acknowledge with thanks the contribution made by my beloved disciple, Srimad Jayananda. My thanks are due as well to the directors of ISKCON Press who have taken so much care in publishing this great literature, Hare Krishna.
So we pause it. Any question, comment, questions for you? Let's see how much you remember. If you don't remember, then no dinner, okay? What does rasa mean?
A kind of relationship, a mellow.
A mellow. What else? What does rasa mean? A relationship or a mellow?
That you have towards someone, that you establish towards someone.
Okay. Some feeling of enjoyment. And Prabhupada gives the example of a family man does all the difficulty because he enjoys it, or a philanthropist enjoys. There is something. Otherwise, why do it, right? So much traffic. It's not easy to maintain a job. It's not easy. It's difficult. But at the end of the day, when you see the family and you know what you're doing, there is some enjoyment. Correct? Alright. Then Prabhupada gives the example of mundane rasa, meaning rasa in this material world. The mundane rasa has a characteristic. It's called?
Sense gratification.
It's called sense gratification, but it has a characteristic to it. Something about rasa. Although it's enjoyable,
it's flickering.
Right. So the phrase that Prabhupada used was?
Flickering.
Bhoga tyaga. No, flickering comes later. Bhoga tyaga. Bhoga means to enjoy. And tyaga means to give up. So although you are enjoying it, at some point you have to give it up. For example, I always use the example of chewing gum, right? Or your favorite food, golgappas, pani puri. First one is awesome, second one is fantastic, the 50th one is awesome, but the 100th one is a very bad. Somewhere you have to stop. Although it is so, you cannot continue it because mundane material means it goes through, in economics we say the law of diminishing marginal returns. Means every little extra that you do, you get less from it. So that is mundane rasa. Okay. And because the happiness in material world is called chapala sukha. It's there, then it goes away. Chapala means unsteady. Okay, that is mundane rasa. So it's temporary. And when does it end? The time of death. Finished. Then there is opposite of mundane rasa is transcendental. Transcendental means not from this world, from the other world. That is called Bhakti-rasa. So all these should not apply to Bhakti-rasa, meaning it's not something you have to give up because it's boring after some time. Prabhupada says a businessman works whole week, although he loves the business, he loves the money, has to take a break and go for vacation. We call it weekend, then comes back. rejuvenated. So Bhakti Rasa is not like that. The more you do, the more you enjoy. And the more you enjoy, there is no diminishing marginal return. It's more and more. Okay, so that's difference between Bhakti Rasa and mundane Rasa. Alright. So Prabhupada says most people want to see God, right? But why are we unable to see God? Our senses are blunt. So how to make the blunt senses sharp or perfect? By engaging in discourses or devotional service. Very good. Then, how many rasas are there?
12, 5 primary.
5 main rasas.
And 7 secondary rasas.
So 12 rasas, 5 main, 7 secondary, primary and secondary. Alright, very good. So this whole concept of Bhakti Rasa, right, comes, what is the foundational principle?
Devotional service.
Yeah, what's the foundational principle? Why? Why is this important?
Because we have to realize our relationship with Krishna.
Prabhupada says something else about it. The basic principle of the living condition is that we have a general propensity to
love someone.
It's there. That's the nature of the soul. We have to express love and affection to someone. And in the mundane sense, how is it expressed? A person expresses it to another person, or a family, or country, or humanity. Yet, despite all of that, somewhere it is not fully satisfying. Although it is very rewarding, it's not fully satisfying. Why?
It doesn't give complete happiness.
Temporary.
Krishna's
Why?
Krishna's missing.
Krishna's the main focal point of love is being missed. Just as, and what are the two examples Prabhupada gives? Just as, very good. If you give nourishment, you water to the root of the tree, all the tree gets nourished. If you separately pour water, or if you separately feed every part of the body and forget to put food in the stomach, like this, we're giving our tendency to love everywhere and forgetting that the main issue is that loving propensity has to be with Krishna. If you forget that, it's like pouring water on different parts of the tree and forgetting the main. But if you pour water to the root of the tree, whole tree is nourished. So if we learn how to engage in loving service to Krishna, then everyone we are connected to will be happy, because we are feeding the root of the tree. Krishna is called the root of existence. So all living entities will be satisfied. Although a family may not see it immediately, they know what's going on. Like I told you, they go through phases, so just be patient, right? So that's the purpose why. Alright. Okay, so clear why we are studying Nectar of Devotion. Questions, comments? Can you turn on the lights? I feel like I'm sitting in some dark space. Yes, go ahead.
Here when you said that when you engage in devotional service and loving service to Krishna, does that mean that we don't engage in loving service to others?
No. No, it means that our so-called loving service today is on a very bodily level. Bodily level means my family, my country, my friend. We fail to see other living entities as Krishna's parts and parcels. So loving Krishna also means loving Krishna's parts and parcels, but with the proper vision though. Today our vision is not proper. They are all mine, and I do because it is making me feel good. So the whole idea of bhakti rasa is love means to make the person who's the object of love happy. Not I do it because I am happy. Right? So the object of love has to be happy. That is selfless love. What we express today is selfish love. So-called love that is selfish. Right? So selfless love is because Krishna will be pleased, I should respect and serve his parts and parcels. That is bhakti rasa. So the activity may look similar, but the consciousness behind is very different, totally different.
So in this case, should we look at like when we serve a devotee versus a non-devotee the same way?
We can't serve them the same way. Like I said,
no, the vision that you were talking about.
Correct.
The way in which you said.
Remember the verse that we talked about? Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shabhakecha pandita samadarshana. Samadarshi is that they sees everyone as a part and parcel. However, that part and parcel has different levels of enlightenment. So we serve according to where they are. Meaning one who is a devotee, especially an advanced devotee, and one who is just a person on the street, although both are parts and parcels of Krishna, our expression of respect will look a little different. So for an exalted Vaishnava, we will wash their feet and ask for instructions. But for this one, we might give prasadam, and show respect. We won't say, please teach me transcendental science. The person may not know. So respect is samadarshana is there, but there is a proper decorum for how we treat one versus the other. We're constantly making distinctions, but the distinction is not out of prejudice. The distinction is this entity is in this body covered this way, and the Vaishnava is although part and parcel of Krishna has so much more awakening of their relationship with Krishna. Yes? Anything else? Okay. So, thank you. Are you excited about Nectar devotion?
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, if you want to see the rest of Rupa Goswami's poetry, it goes through even more complicated formations. It's called Chitta Kavitvani. Can you send the link to everyone or show the link? Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna.